Hey everybody, DayTraderRockStar here, and a great watch list video coming your way. It is Friday, first week of June, so that makes us, we had the jobs report. ADP came in yesterday, was it yesterday? The ADP came in and crushed it, the jobs report underneath it. They say the two are connected, or one could give a good outlook of the next, but that's not the case, Like I said, in this world that we trade in, you can't count on anything. News is just news, and it's just a short-term opportunity usually in the market here. If you take a look at that 8:30 news that came out, we spiked down on that news, and we actually put in probably a large divergence here. If we look out on that 5-minute chart, I bet you that's a nice 5-minute divergence. I will take a look at that. That happened at 8:30 though, and also then we had a nice. Just a nice move. We got it back up to overnight highs, and things are just looking peachy on the markets. But we're talking stocks here. We're talking futures. We're talking everything. We got some great setups here. This is the high probability watch list for the members. And, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over some great stocks that we've been trading. We've taken a lot of profits this week, and it's important to understand why we're taking profits and what got us into these stocks. I mean, that's the whole concept behind, trading and taking your pitch and everything that I kind of stress when it comes to high probability setups, the patience, the discipline, and everything, the criteria that must line up for us to take a trade, and the criteria that must line up to get out of a trade, and everything else is pretty much automated. Low stress environment, good setups. Excited to see all the people in the room here profiting on some of these. So Let's go over. We'll start off going over a few of the stocks we just took off today and yesterday and the day before, and then we're going to talk about the new setups going into next week. We're already on top of it. I got to jump in here right now because we had a great discussion this morning on the show about Juno, and just got in it. Just got into Juno before we picked up just a few hundred shares at 24.88, and we see the big pop happening right now. Nice pop. And again, they are presenting at the ASCO Cancer conference this weekend, along with Kite Pharmaceuticals, which we got into. But the Juno looking good too. Thanks, Tight Stocks, for sharing that information. Tight Stocks, always a lot of great information it brings to the members. And that's where we are right now. I guess maybe the alert went out that we picked some up here, and that sometimes sparks some buying in the market. So you want to get those. You want to get those alerts before everyone else does. I'm not saying that we did this, but we did just get into it a little bit before, and looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. Juno popping here. Already up here. Already up almost. Hundy. So looking good on that. Let's see what happens. A little volume spike. Like I said, I was bringing up some other stocks, so we want to bring up the HPS watch list, which is a members segment of Daytradingradio. Consists of the HPS site, and I'm going to actually show you some of the setups today because a lot of them are already hitting their targets, or at least very close to hitting their targets. But you want to get in when we get in. All right, so let's go over some of these stocks. All right, we're going to start off showing you some stocks that are currently in play. And again, with the HPS setup, you automatically get the detailed chart with it. You got a own special, so I'm not going to show you everything because there's a lot of stocks that are still active, and this one is, but I'm not going to show you the front screen here, which has all the alerts on it. But this is the charts section here, and you have a little arrow there, and you point it. Most of the HPS setups are based off of, a confluence of indicators that are lining up. In this case, we have a rising trend line. We love the lower trend lines, especially a lower trend line bounce. This one also has some other things working for it, which I go into detail on the video. So in this case, we're looking for it to come down. And again, lots of times you're going to have an alert. It's called a profit zone or a buy zone, and it's going to be underneath the price. So you have plenty of time to plan out your trade. We mark it down, and when the price comes down, it hits it, you get alerted to it by, I see someone mentioning it right in the room right now, JBHT, setting up for a 5-minute double bottom steep divergence. It's looking really good. That's why I wanted to start off looking at this one. And as we click on the arrow, you'll see that this chart updates itself day by day. So we waited. Finally came down to our buy zone, picked it up. It chopped around a couple days. Once that buy zone is activated, it'll automatically activate the profit zone and the stop, and whatever's hit first, again, the alert is up. But the key here is looking back and seeing that this lower trend line, we came down, flushed it a little. I think that was just a shakeout. There was some news out there that a lot of things got hit on that day, and from that point on, we actually started rotating back up. Now, I've been showing this stock on the show daily. I'm showing you what I'm planning for it. That's the 5-minute chart. Take a look at the daily here. And what happens is we came down. Look at the lower trend line here. We came right down to it. We hit it here on this chart. Pushed back up. We got through that lower trend line. What we're looking is to get through back up above this rising trend line. Break above it. If we want to continue to hold it, look for a pullback to it, and then continuation. This is actually working out fine. Continues to look really good. Take a look at a 5-minute chart right now. You can start to see a 5-minute divergence here. It'll be interesting to see if you look back at this chart. And, today you're actually seeing that little lower low spike, the higher low on the stochastics, and it's showing us that this pullback is a good pullback right now on a short-term time frame. So multiple time frames, good for scalpers, good for swing traders, good for position traders. We got it all covered. So anyway, that's our first good setup here. We're going to go over a few of them. We'll continue to hold on to this. I wouldn't be against adding to this position. I think that this one actually is going to pop through that 20-period moving average next week. We get a nice pop, and we'll probably end up taking profits on that pop, even though this pattern should play out. You can see the big pattern. Sometimes we break down through it just to recapture it and then stay above it. We've seen that happen in multiple stocks. I love to trade this pattern. Here's Sienna. Sienna here was one. We came down. We popped back up, held that trend line, and then really aggressively moved up. That was a great example. DISCA.
ES Tradeometer
This was
overbought.
back over here, a lower trend line. This one actually, recently we weren't in this one, but I do remember this one. I was being the channel. I wanted to show you some other channel trades. Some other channels that are setting up. The Biogen, I'm going to get a little sidetracked here because the Biogen actually is a lower trend line and a support line. It's called an X marks the spot and a divergence setup. It is a textbook setup here. One of the best bets going into next week. It's already moved up. I already gotten into a couple of these cancer drug companies, and this Biotech is just, the divergence here is just textbook. We banged the table on it yesterday. It's just perfect setup on this. It's probably going to continue higher. Next week we have a lot of drug news out. I see Sonny here mentioning in the room that we have Ohio suing 5 drug manufacturers, Purdue Pharmaceutical, Johnson. All right, well, big deal. Sue everyone. Amgen here looking also good, holding a little of that. Again, Biogen, BIIB, is one of the better bets. And consider yourself alerted to this. All right, it's a divergence. Here's your latest there's your last divergence right here. It was another kind of nice little divergence with a little pop, and this is another divergence. It's just going to push higher. I mean, it's $257 pushing at the highs of the session right now, along with the market. It is what it is. You gotta. This is what I want to bring to you all the time. This type of setup, the divergence setup. That is the cream of the crop on the HPS setup. JBHT hopping now off of that divergence. So I'm fired up here. Fired up. There goes Juno here. Juno here continue to run. And breaking $100 on our profit. I mean, that's just an easy trade. Easy in hindsight. But that's what we got, a good team. We got a good team here. I guess I owe Tight Stop some lobsters and a case of beer for this one. This one's ripping higher. Got to feel good about it. So anyway, you got that going for you right now. Let's go to the next HPS setup. All right, we don't get distracted by everything else. Nielsen here also is one of the best bets for next week. Added to that, but we're going to get to that in a second. Lyondell-Basel Industries. It's a chemical company. It's a beautiful X marks the spot. And again, the same thing with an HPS quality name like this. We wait for our level. Even though it looked really good here, big candle, we put our buy zone down here to give us a better opportunity and say, you know what, if it does come down there, that's where I want to be part of it. Fast forward this chart, we got in our position when we hit our X marks the spot. It hit it to the tick, and we bounced up. Even though that was around 78 and change, it actually bounced up to about 82 and change. Did not hit our profit target, means it's still active. And being still active, still in play. So it continues to be looking pretty good, and a nice downward channel there. Let's just continue on. So we're going to see, when you look at you'll see a green dot on your trade there. Green means that the entry has been activated. If it has a red dot or an orange gold dot, that means something else is triggered on it too. Here we have the GGP, which, a tough one to go into. I think this was a REIT. I've never traded before, but because of what we call a 1-2-3 pattern, so we have two pivots on top, a pivot on the bottom. We trade that pivot on the bottom. We bounced off it. I said, you know what? Here's our buy trigger. Let's get in it. Let's take it off as we approach that line. As you can see, we got very close to that target. I ended up taking it off here. We ended up putting a sell order in and taking it off on that spike higher. And there's a reason why we do that. Now, if we look at this stock a little bit closer, I think you have to understand there's always, and I always stress this, and I stress it again on every single one of my videos, your trading plan is your business plan. Your trading plan is your business. This is what you're doing to make money. What's your product? My product is, good entries are my product. I want to sell them. Good entries. I want to buy them. Does that make sense? It makes sense to me. So here we have and again, this was a tough one because, hey, it's in a REIT. It's in a retail REIT. That's the worst sector to be in. But we had this big reversal candle here. And I like that reversal candle. We got in, it pulled back, then we popped. We took it off right here as we got into an overbought level on the daily. So again, the overbought level is really the key for these trade time frames. If you're trading the daily time frame, like in a swing trade off the HPS, you want to have that daily the daily oscillator, the stochastic oscillator, pointing higher and moving higher. That's a big positive. Once you get extended here, as you can see in a crappy sector like this, every time we get extended, we pull back. We get extended, we pull back, we get extended. Now, at this point, you're either gambling. At this point, this is not a gamble. This is a good HPS quality entry, and everything. The criteria lines up, and there's a reason. There's a business plan behind it while we're getting in, and there's a business plan why we're getting out. We don't have to deal with the pullback. This could continue to push higher, but we are out of it, and it's no longer active. It's active on the thing, but just remember, when I get out, it's probably because it is given us short-term bought levels, and that's it. That's the way it is. All right, next. And the HPS will, there will be the times that you will get a stop out. Here we had a very, very tight stop, and I've typically done well on this stock, the HP, Hemmerlich and Payne, giving it a shot on the lower trend line. So I just started a very small position here, knowing that maybe we get a little bounce, maybe we don't. What happened is it broke down here. So we actually got that bounce. We actually had a buy trigger on that. In some cases, you have a buy zone off the lower trend line and a buy, and then we had some oil news, OPEC oil news. It actually came in and it knocked all these oil and gas related stocks down and took out the stops. I ended up actually adding to the position today, even though this is no longer an active stock on the HPS watch list. I am in it right down here I was in it here, so my cost average here is at 56. And it's not my favorite. It's not my favorite, but full disclosure on this, right now, 56.27 is my average right now, which is, I think, is okay. I'm not a big fan of the oil and gas, and personally, it's kind of a gamble. We'll take a look at another chart on this. I just saw some strength today, and what I noticed on this, and the reason, and I'm watching that Biogen the train is leaving the station on this Biogen. So here's another look at it. Kind of had this divergence. It actually had a nice little move, and then failed on the news. You can see the gap down and the volume, and then it just had some follow through. 60-minute time frame. Could it be turning back up here? It's hard to say. The weekly, of course, is crushed, and the daily. But I was looking at the 5-minute as a gap, a little gap down and a reversal, and actually coming back, trying to take out the highs. So I just added to it down here, looking for maybe a little bounce. Not my favorite, definitely not a best bet, but just to kind of let you know that we are in it. Now let's concentrate on Nielsen before it gets away from us. Nielsen, I've been adding to the position. This is actually the 5-minute chart. Look at the volume spike right here. We just had some volume coming in on this. Now, I talk about a lot of these stocks on the air, so you definitely have a lot of information there, and then I follow through on the videos on the weekend. So if you're not if you're not able to trade daily, that's fine. You get your weekly watch list. Everything is good. You're only getting quality names. Hey, does this look familiar? Underlying trend line, everything looking good. This is textbook. I love the setup here. It's a nice 1, 2, 3 channel. I think we get up to the 50-period moving average, 41. I think it's a rock star trade, and probably even go higher off of this. But probably we're looking at something a little bit underneath that before we take profits on it. Let me show you a bigger chart. All right, here's your HPS chart that you have, and again, what do you see? 1, 2, 3 pattern. This was a buy trigger, so you're buying into strength with a defined stop and a profit zone. Now, like I said, did we get to 38? Let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at this right here. Let's click on this, and you can see we're slowly moving up into our buy zone. I wish I could make these things go every day like this, but that's just not how it is. We have to just take our time and continue on, just working the strategy, understanding why we're in it. Remember, this stochastic oscillator was oversold on the lower trend line. Now, this adjusts as we play out in this chart, and you can actually see it's starting to turn back up. So now we have the momentum on our side. We have the lower trend line. We have the recognizable pattern. We have a pure HPS setup. And we added to it, and it looks good. We're up on it. Up on it nice. All right, here we have Under Armour. We just took profits in Under Armour this morning. And again, you can see an HPS setup here, all defined for you. Love this low here. And then boom. Now, did we take off those highs here? The highs at 1893. Our profit zone was 19. I think this is a something that always has to be discussed. A lot of people are saying, "All right, Johnny, I want to go with the HPS." What happens if we get this 1897, 3 cents away, and eventually comes back down, and I don't get triggered? Well, if I get out, I put an order in, it's probably because we're extended and overbought. So take that as a consideration. An adjustment to your chart. You could let it play out. This is probably going much higher, but as we could see now, after we took a nice profit on it this morning, where we got in it. I mean, this is the type of trade you want every single time. Everything is lined up here for us. Oversold. Look at how the stochastics rotated well with this stock. Once you start to identify that, you put a stock like this into your trading rotation. That way, you're not coming into the day all frazzled and not knowing what to trade. You have a set as a host of Daytradingradio, I have a lot of stocks that I go through constantly because that's just my job. But for you as an individual trader, and you want to become proficient at just taking these trades, then you should have a smaller watch list. A watch list maybe 20, 40 stocks, and wait for them to set up. Wait for that rotation. Because it's much better to have that rotation on your side. Look at a stock, trade it a couple of times, make sure it has quality written all over it, and then one of the easiest things to do is to wait for that momentum to turn back up and to get that nice little move. Now, you're not seeing it turn up here. The trading view does not update the stochastic, so I have to go to the other chart to kind of give you an update on this Under Armour a little bit better. As you could tell, we pushed right up against our zone there, and this is where the stochastics and that reversal candle and everything look great. That is something that we could easily do scans. You could do scans for reversal candle, oversold stochastics, everything. But look at that. This was a follow-through call for today, and we looked at taking profits today, and we took profits today. It was just what we did. It's what we do. 1875 is now 1871. I mean, like I said, it's not $19, but we got 3 cents away from $19. And this was right up here. And it's been kind of drifting back down, It's just we have to wait for the next setup. Is it worth getting in here? Yeah, I actually think that Under Armour is going to continue to move higher. I honestly do. I think the momentum's on your side. It's very aggressive. It's a nice pop. Volume is okay, but anyway, the trade is done for us.
NQ Tradometer overbought.
NQ Tradometer here. That's our Rambot, which is tearing apart the market also. So many good things. So there we have that going for you. We're out of that. All right, here's Harley Davidson. Again, I think we went over Harley Davidson a little bit earlier, too. But again, we just almost tagged that target. We took profits onto that pop. I would consider this one tagged also because we got out of it. But anyway, I think we went over that earlier. But another great setup there. Harley Davidson. I'm just going up the list here. The Mattel, insider buy-in again, still active. We had a nice trade on it. I ended up taking profits, even though we didn't have our profits done. I was just moving that money into another stock. I think it would perform a little better, and that was taken early. I think we got into the AYI, which is just an intraday trade there for us. All right, let's talk about, and again, kind of psyched about this watch list. So you're probably getting something, especially if you're not a member. I'm probably giving this out today because we did take a lot of profit this week. I want to update a lot of people on things and really show people how important it is to be in the right stock at the right time, and why HPS is that could do that for you. Alchemy here. We started adding to that position. We got in, and again, a nice little setup here. This is going into best bet going into next week. A little divergence, and this is right in our buy zone right now. Right in our buy zone right now. I see Rob calling me up, so let me take this. I'll be right back. I just wish I recorded Tight Stop's call because we were talking about the Juno here, and if we look at Juno here, it's continued to pop here. Look at this thing. Talk about great entries here. We got at 24.88 right back here, and then right after that, boom, it is running. Now he's saying you should take some of it off. He does, I understand where Rob's coming from. He wants to make sure everyone has the profit. The problem is you won't get this video until after the market closes, and and that's just the fact. For today, you have to be in the room to get all this information, and on a Friday. And we're also talking about the great divergence that Biotech set up with, and that's up nice. And then he mentioned in the banks, which is the next segment I want to be getting into on the watch list, is the banks. But look at this Juno here going. He's trying to convince me to take half off, up $140 on it. You know what? I'm letting it ride. I'm letting this one ride because it seems like a great research on his part, understanding what this ASCO conference is about, and and where these big announcements are usually made at this conference. So, we're in it. So let's get back to the watch list. What was I up to? I think we were talking about the Alchemy here, and the Alchemy, very shallow divergence. You can see the divergence on Alchemy a little bit better, I think, over here, and that's the Juno. And again, just to remember that Juno IPO here back in the beginning of 2015, end of 2014, and that price level, $35, looks like I like to see that. Let's take a look at the AKAM. Nice pullback. This is again on the weekly, but let's take a look at the daily. Now this is what we're looking at. This low right here, this candlestick low, right where that line is, took out the previous low, and you don't really notice it. It's almost like a flat line here, but the divergence, the stochastics, you definitely notice something's going on here, and that's what I like about that. I like that we had that real shallow divergence, but a steep one on the stochastics. We have a little follow through. It looks good. It's actually grinding back up. We added to it. This continues to be one of the best bets going into next week. So take it and enjoy it. Let's see. And then we have the next one on the list. Here we have JP Morgan. Now the banks are looking really good. I mean, I think you need to be in the banks at this point. If we're looking for the market to continue to push higher, it looks like the banks are going to be the ones that do it, along with biotechs and drugs. Because that was a routine. You could actually look back here for the last 3-4 months, and you could see the banks have actually been lagging this market. Where tech, high tech, Apple, Google, Netflix, all the other ones have been leading this market. Banks have been, even though we've been moving higher, banks haven't been really participating. So yesterday we liked the JP Morgan. I love the 1-2-3 channel. This is what we call, it's a playbook play. And a playbook play is a set of, there's about 10 setups that we look for in the market, which are considered high probability setups. Technical trade setups. This one's called the 200 period moving average, 200 EMA breakdown, channel line bounce. Now I do videos on that. That's in the educational forum on the site, on the dashboard. And I wanted us to be alerted to if it does get down there. I almost took it yesterday. I said, you know what, let me just let it play out, But of course, we're pushing higher, and it looks like this one is not going to trigger. If we click on it, you can see what's going on today. It's actually not that bad. I thought maybe it was running away today. Again, this one is active right now. It's an active setup. It says it's watching. So when a stock has not hit its buy zone, it doesn't really, or sell zone. We have shorts in these on these setups also. It's just that this is not a market you really want to be shorting right now, so we don't have it. And we got Juno here, continue to push a little bit higher now. Look at this. Rock and roll here. Rock and roll on Juno. Closing on $200. I might have to just take that off, but like I said, I like the potential here. Volume coming in. We sent out that alert right here, and that's where volume's starting to pick up. All right, so let's take a look at a couple other ones. Goldman Sachs is the other one. And it actually had a gap down today, which is nice. And again, you can see the lower trend line. I like these banks here. I really do. The lower trend line, the 200 period moving average. It's not a runaway train today on these, but we are seeing the potential of divergence on banks like this. This is huge. Would be huge if we actually get that confirmation of divergence. You actually see this holding off that 20. We want to see this actually turn up a little and give us that divergence, where we have that higher low and the lower low here. Netflix here pushing out the highs of the session. Kite here starting to move, and again we're in Kite also, so we're in this two of these drug stocks. Nielsen looking good, Netflix looking good, AKAM best bet going into next week, looking good. Now it's I'm going to do some research here, so I'm going to pause this video, come back in a few minutes, and see if we have anything else, or else I want to try to get this out before the close so you can take advantage of it. But let me be right back here. I didn't see any, you know what, and I haven't taken any ES trades right now, because that's a tough trade right now. Let's take a look at this cash chart one more time. Let's see if we had that 5-minute divergence this morning. I didn't look at it yet. So we're going to look at that 5-minute. Remember, we had, if we go back here, I want to show you what I don't know if it is or not. That 8:30, 10 o'clock area, this time frame, an hour to 2 hours in between that low and that previous low. And it's a pretty fast move down. Again, news-based move here, popped up, follow through, and then a big pop. This looks like it would have been a 5-minute divergence maybe on the ES. Let's take a look at the ES first. I'm not sure if it was or not. Let's see here. Oh yeah, it was. Perfect. Hey, we could, been doing this so long that you don't even have to, I don't even need the stochastics anymore to give us a divergence set up here. This was a beautiful one. Now you see that candlestick low? It represents that low right here. I'm just going to mark it down so just for purposes of pointing out the divergence and giving you a little education on this right here. So you had that low that represented a low underneath the 20 line. Remember, we have a criteria for a divergence. The first stage of the divergence, a buy-side divergence, first stage of a buy-side divergence, the stochastics have to be under that 20 line. All right, we're going to look at that fast stochastic and the 14.309.3. Like to see them both line up. You see how that green line is under that low? It's about 11. It's about 11. Don't worry about the 2 over here, which is for other setups. And then we get a little bounce, and it brings us up above that 20 line. Then the price quickly moves back and takes out the lows, but the stochastics hold above that 20 line. And you can see right here, as we make those new lows, where those stochastics, they're about that 20, maybe 30 line right here, holding above that dotted line. So we have this divergence, which is our go-to setup here. And this is what I want to bring to you all the time in both stocks and futures. Now, if you've noticed this this morning and taken that trade off of that divergence, yeah, it's up about 8 points. That's pretty nice. Now let's take a look at the cash. Now the thing with the cash chart is that you're not counting the overnight trade, so you're not getting that 8:30 little dip. And yeah, you're not seeing that. You're not seeing that on that. So good example right there. This is a 5-minute setup right now, and the truth is, and I'm not going to take this short. I'm not going to take this short. Hell, you're not. You actually see a double top and a little lower here and a little breakdown. We wonder if this is the beginning of some pullback right here. That's still on the 5-minute chart, so let's go back, rotate that back to the 1-minute time frame. And this is where we are right here. All right, there we have the 1-minute time frame there set up for you. Here's the Juno. And now if I take profits here and just call it a day, it's a win-win in either way. If we want to gamble, that's something that's outside the methodology. Gambling is outside the methodology. That's just really your call. I have a duty to take profits and make sure my alerts go out to the members out there and let you know that I am getting out. But I feel what Rob is saying. He says, you know what, you got a nice profit here. He'd hate for some bad news to come out or just news that doesn't move it. And this thing to, get a gap down. So that is just a danger. So be careful on that. The risk is in your court now. It's just the way it is. Just typing some things into the room here. All right, so we had the Goldman here still looking good. Market here is a little pullback. The Juno's right there. There's the ES here on a pullback. And let me just do a couple scans and get back to you in a minute. Well, here we have, I just started off with my divergence scan. And I have Capital One here, which is another banking stock that's kind of showing up as a divergence. And something about this I like. I've always liked this stock. What we have here is called a running divergence. A divergence there where we have a low, a pop, a lower low, a higher low, and then a continued lower low but a higher low. We're staying off of that original low. So we have this kind of what's called a running divergence. It typically goes up after about 3 lower lows. In this case, we might consider this one the lower low. I'm actually liking this a lot. You can actually see as we're holding above that 20 line, still making lows of the previous lows. And it just looks, there's something interesting about this right now. We're going to zoom out here. Just a trend line. There's an old trend line breakdown here and a retracement back up and a follow through to the downside. Again, if you do like the financials, this is one that could be added right to that list. Now I got a couple other ones I want to go over with you live. GWW. That actually looks like a double bottom divergence in itself. I actually have a little of this that I'm underwater on. Off of this lower trend line, it's starting to move back up. I'm not a big fan of it. I only have 40 shares, but the divergence is there. LOW, Lowe's Company, not interested. Apache, definitely not interested. In APC, Anadarko Petroleum, not interested. So the Capital One Finance, definitely interested in this one. Definitely interested in the Capital One. And you can see the Juno here pulling back here. Profits went from about $170 to $140, $114, $150, $150 to $114. So we're giving back a little of the profits. But again, this was a gamble. A gamble that's playing out here. Let's see if we get another push at the close here. 237. All right. Continue on with some scans here. Actually, I'm going to probably end up looking at the Capital One Finance, COF. Did we mention the AYI? Took this one off too. We got on that candlestick. We had a nice pop, follow through 3 days ago on this candlestick. Big candlestick with a reversal, another HPS type of setup. We took profits on it. It happened so fast when we announced this, and the next day it popped. It was pretty much an in and out type of trade. So it never made it to the HPS watch list, but it could have actually been a HPS type of pick because of the reversal candle and the oversold stochastics. AYI. Going through some other ones right now. Seagate, not interested. Got another 70 on here to go through. Wow. Could be some setups here. Alright, so I just finished the next segment of my scans here today. And boy, like I said on the radio, they're popping like morel mushrooms on a rainy day in the spring. Oh boy, gotta get enough cash to. There's some good setups here. All right, the CHRW divergence, clear divergence here. Now I've been in this one, and this is the first time we're actually seeing the divergence. The last setup here was kind of this 1, 2, 3 channel. And lots of times we'll break down through that channel just to push back up. The divergence is by far the most powerful setup here. So it deserves to be mentioned here. I would put the stop, if we don't put this on the watch list, put the stop right underneath that recent low and let this thing roll back up to the 20-period moving average, if not the retracement trend line, which is a good 2 points, 3 points in front of us, ahead of us. So there's the first one. JEC here. Not a divergence, but actually in a very positive area on the thing. And this is kind of a pop and a little pullback and a pop. It looks like it's ready to go. This is just a nice pullback. Engineering construction. The one thing I will say, all this news out there on Trump and stuff. Remember whatever happened to the infrastructure package and talking about infrastructure. Once this comes back into play, that December presidential election, everyone was buying the construction stocks. You know, everything from U.S. Steel to FLR, anything that had to do with construction popped into the election, and it ran. Since then, it's come all the way back down. So there is some actually stocks that back here that have returned all the way back to the scene of the crime. We'll call it the scene of the crime. And one of these is the Jacob Engineering, JEC. You know, here's your election. It's actually pulled back, almost tagged it there, popped back up, pulled back, and you know, so definitely looking very nice here. Definitely looking really nice. 53.42, pushing it higher. It's not a divergent setup, but it's a decent candle reversal here with a pop holding under the 20. I think it's worth getting into small on these. It's better to have these really, you know, kind of, you know, not putting all the eggs in one basket, but definitely a good setup. I think it's a good trade. I want to put it on the watch list, put it on the HPS watch list. Does it effectively fit that? Well, not really. So just remember that. You know, I'm definitely going to follow tomorrow. Might even take a position before the end of the day on this. Just a small position just to be in it, and then continue that. Well, let's just continue the other one. The other one is the financials. Like I said, we went over it, but a couple other financials showing up. The Capital One Finance, running divergence. I like this one a lot. This is one I'm liking. COF, we talked about that. GM, divergence. Look at that divergence on GM. You know, it had a lower low. It's almost a kind of a running divergence, but out of a divergence, you usually have an underlying channel. So you have a divergence. Here's your underlying channel. It's not much of one. It's almost a kind of a wedge pattern, but it's a small little wedge pattern channel. A higher low, the lower low, the lower low price and the lower low on the price, and the higher low on the stochastics. And that gives us that rotation up. And we're just about overbought here, but it's good point. You know, it's easy enough to point out when a running divergence happens, and we are seeing a running divergence in the other stocks we mentioned earlier, which we like. That running divergence, I think it was JE. The Capital One or the COF. Yeah, the kind of the Capital One running divergence here and starting to turn back up. That's why I like that. So COF, General Motors, and again the JBHT. Love it, love it, love it, love it. I think we got some upside. I think we popped next week in this one along with AKAM, and now we're starting to see Kite push higher. CIKE, CITE. It hasn't popped yet like the Juno has popped, but it's starting to creep up there. And again, this one will be presenting at the ASCO conference. And there's our Juno. Juno here ripping higher now. Oh my God. Up over $200 on this trade. Should we lock half of it in? Let the other half, or would we go for the big money? Did they come out with a cure for cancer? Your guess is as good as mine. But right now, we cured the we found a cure for poverty right here. Day Trading Radio. As long as we push that button, right? Let's do it. Let's take half of it off. Let's see what we want here. See what we have here.
Order pending.
Oh. We cancel that and get back. Let me hold on. put a limit order in. I might not get it. I just want to get the hell out of Dodge right here.
Order canceled. Order filled.
All right, I'm out. I'm out half. All right, so.
I mean, I know it doesn't by any means, it fails in time by any means.
Did I go through? Hopefully that went through into the room there. Just sold half of that right there. Oh yeah, I just got the alert on my phone.
317 items, 317 Amazon entries for purchases or returns. So that includes returns too.
Why isn't it showing up in the room?
300, but line entries, whether it be a credit or purchase or whatever, that include the word Amazon. In 2015, 2016 for my books. So what's that, like one every other day or something, And again, I return a lot of stuff too, stuff that doesn't work out or whatever. So that's.
I don't know why it didn't show up here.
But it's just so convenient, they got it figured out. They have merged the internet.
All right,
with
and it continues to run.
Modern logistical delivery systems like FedEx and UPS and USPS, and they have captured and built a system of delivering stuff. I mean, who would have ever thought? All right, so there's Johnny's posting the trade in Remare. Nice trade, Johnny.
And thanks, Tight Stops, for that one. Hey, Rob, just took half off. Just took half off, Rob. Great job. Lobsters and beers coming your way.
It's the only thing that I think I was going to get rid of it because it's high interest. But their actual Visa, if you actually use their Visa, they give you another 3% off all your. That's awesome.
All right, well, market here, Juno here, still pushing a little bit higher. Let me get this alert out. Let me get the watch list out. It's about an hour left. Definitely want to get the watch list out. This watch list is going to be a special watch list, sending it out to everyone, just because we had a great week, and that's how important it is to have the HPS watch list on your side, and the tradeometer, which we just had a buy signal right here at 20 in the market here, right back here at 24.36, and it's already pushing higher. And here comes the crickets. Things are looking great.
Yeah, I'm not going to play no Jeopardy. I ain't no way.
Let's send this off again. Definitely come by, check out, try out a trial, get the watch list, try out the trial. We have some great deals for yearly, where you get the combination of the. I'll actually show you the deal right here. And I apologize again. I don't do this once in a lifetime to send out a watch list to the public, but we got some things to celebrate. We're going to be launching some new things, so I want to get a little promotion out there. And we have a great watch list this week, and it's just everything's looking good. So we're going to see you Monday. Monday back on the air. I mean, we're going to get some follow through on the on this right now. I'm just going to show you what we have offered here. Again, if you're a member, you can actually upgrade. You get, of course, their dashboard, real-time, free commercial-free broadcast, focused trading rooms, options, stocks, and futures, different rooms, different traders in there, lots of traders, hundreds of traders trading. Of course, what we're doing right now, the high probability setup weekly watch list and video. Of course, education and stuff. There's a lot of other things here that goes on, but this is the package that I recommend. You know, you get the day trading radio and the tradeometer. Normally, the tradeometer by itself is $420 a year, and day trading radio for years. You know, so you're talking about $900 and change. You get it for $700 as a combination. Anyway, a little self-promotion there, because that's what we are proud to do for you. So come on by and take part of the celebration here and become part of the team, be part of the family. All right, that's it for me. I want to get this out to the members, and of course to you guys out there. For those people out there not familiar with Day Trading Radio, we broadcast live on the air every single day from 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock, and we do after-hour shows at night. So we'll see you in the markets.